my gosh. Hello beautiful people, my name is Zach Dowdy, and the other day I went pole skating with my friend Al, a couple of other buddies, and it had been such a long time since I went and skated a proper backyard pole. So today we're going to talk about this topic that we ended up talking about while on the session: is pole skating dead and what is the future of it? But first, let's go and rewind a couple days ago to the pole session. Just hiked up a nice good sized driveway, basically a mountain. Now we're at this pole. It's got some brick coping on, it's got a cake, lots of good stuff. It's been a while since I've skated a pole personally, so let's get some hits. Stupid scab thing keeps breaking open. This is like the 10th time I've opened this since I've had the scab in my arm. So I'm gonna sit it out. Feeling the boys, they're killing it. So for me, I kind of broke this down to 3 different things that I think the future of pole skating really does rely on, and whether or not it is dead or not is really, I guess, up to skaters in a way. Leave your comments down below. As always, I want to know your guys' thoughts on this topic. Do you think pole skating will stick around for a long time? Do you think it's going to die? Etc. Now, let me explain why I think, and the things that I've been considering and pondering along with Al and a couple of my buddies, the things that we talked about while on the session. I'm going to break it down to 3 different things. One of the first things is that poles are rare. They're hard to come by, and now the kind of people that want to skate poles a lot of times do go to skate parks. So skate parks facilitate a lot of times a bowl, something that is similar to a backyard pole, but it isn't quite the same thing. And it's just like street skating. People still skate street just as often, if not more, than they do the skate park. With pole skating, I'm not sure if that's exactly the same situation. Backyard poles are definitely very rare and hard to come by, and the thing about it is into a specific area. Obviously in Southern California there are a lot of them, but East Coast it's harder. Certain areas don't really have backyard poles. So I think the accessibility to backyard poles is getting lower and lower and is hard to find. So that alone makes it really just inaccessible to people, making it probably something that's going to be hard to thrive in general. So yeah, I guess the first thing I break it down to is pole skaters and pole riders. People that like skating poles, they kind of a lot of times go to skate parks, or they have to be in a certain area to skate backyard poles. So they're really rare. I think the pole skating and pole skaters is a very small and few, probably almost the same as freestyle at this point. I don't know, maybe that's an exception. Maybe there's more, there's probably less freestylers, but the point being is that pole skating and pole skaters in particular are a little more of a rare breed than like a park skater, for example, which is a little more of an all-terrain skater that's not necessarily good at backyard poles. It might be really good at skate parks, but when you go into a backyard pole, it is a much different setting. It's not perfect. There's walls that are just very much unpredictable. So the pole skaters are the first thing you got to think about, and they're getting smaller and smaller and smaller. The pole skating scene, I think, is getting smaller in general. And then the second thing that I kind of thought about or bringing it into is just pole spots. I mean, kind of talked on it, but this is how I'm breaking it down, is that the future of poles, they're just built way different now. When they're building construction on poles, they're not built with transition perfectly like they were back in the day. Blue Haven and all these different pole builders basically aren't doing it the way that they used to be doing it, or they're not doing it at all. So you have to find the old school poles. Those are the poles. So it is going to get harder in the future to find new poles. You're almost always going to have to be finding or digging up old poles, or, you know, if someone leaves the house that happens to have an old pole, that could be a new way to revive a new pole. But essentially what I'm getting at is there's no construction of poles of how they were back in the day, which is going to make it harder and harder and harder to be accessible. Now, my third thing that I kind of broke it down to is the pole skateboard scene. The pole skateboarding scene is really, really cool. Like, I feel like they're very close. Like, they trade each other's poles, and they use Zillow and all these different ways of finding poles, or just literally driving down alleys and looking over the back of your car for poles. There's a huge, or I shouldn't say huge, there's a small, really tight community of pole skaters. But again, that is a small community, and I think it's hard for that community to grow because of all the other things that I said, for example. So kind of final thoughts on, is pole skating dead? I don't think it is dead. Is it dying in the future? I think it's going to be really hard. I think it's going to be less accessible. So in a way, there's going to be a manipulation of it, like in skate parks are. For example, in the Olympics, you saw park skating and street skating. So park skating is sort of considered pole skating maybe now, or it's one of the two, but I do think poles are such a different breed. Like, there are some younger people out there that are still killing in backyard poles, but I think that's really where it all kind of depends on if there's going to be more pole skaters, if they push skating, if they try to dig out more poles and just be active in that pole space, essentially. So I don't know, leave your comments down below. I think the future really depends on skaters. I think it's going to be really, really hard to keep it alive. I think it will always be there. Like, there's always going to be a small scene that, like, maybe we'll do it forever. But I think the future skaters and younger skaters might have a hard time because it's such a big barrier to entry to figuring that space out, figuring out the people that know where those poles are, finding one for yourself. So like I said, leave your comments down below. I'm always curious. Make sure you smash that like button if you enjoyed this video, enjoyed hitting some poles. Can't wait to get back out there. Subscribe if you're not already, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Mash. Yeah, you know you're at some insane property value when they have a call. You can call in to the top up there. Anybody home? We want to skate the pool.